Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Giuseppe Paladini, founder of Stepping Bricks, and today I'm going to answer some of the questions that my supporters, the followers, actually asked in the comments below of other videos. So one of the questions that I'm going to answer is how do you get your first property, but how do you get your deposit, and how can you scale that part? Let's dive in. So we talked about getting a deposit, gifted deposit from parents or blood relatives in the past, or partners. And the question was, you know, if I'm borrowing 35,000 pounds from my parents, how do I pay them back? So first of all, if you get 35,000 pounds, then you can buy a property, okay? And you only need about 25% deposit, and 75% of the mortgage, you know, it will come from the bank, 75% of the value of the property. So your 35,000 pounds are in your 25% plus legals, tax, and so on to buy the property. Now, if you're renting the property and then you're getting about 900 pounds a month, let's say, roughly we're talking about 500 pounds net, between 400 and 500. So you could either pay your investor back, you know, your parents, for example, through the rent, or if you bought a property that needed a renovation or refurb, so you can buy property below market value, you know, below the actual value of the property, because it's a rundown property. You need to change the kitchen, the bathroom, you need to add value to the property. So if you bought it, let's say this one, you bought it for 100k, and the property that you renovate would then be worth 150k. Now suddenly you push the value up of the property, which means the remortgage, you know, when you refinance the property, then the remortgage will give you a 75% of this 150,000 pounds. So the 75% of 150,000 pounds is 112 and 500, which means now bank 2 will give you this money. They pay off the 75 grand of the first one, and then you're left with extra, which means now you can repay your initial investors back. Is that clear? Now, obviously you might be asking, okay, where do I get the money for the refurb? Well, there are ways where you can not just get money, but also pay almost zero. And that's what we teach our 3 days event. Obviously, it would take a little bit longer to explain how to get creative finance on this. But let's assume that you get the money for the deposit, the money for the refurb. Now you paid zero at this stage from your own pocket. Then you push the value by renovating the property. On a time scale, you need about what we take. We do refurbs. We've done over 50 refurb projects. We take about 4 weeks for a full refurb. Now, you might need to hold onto the property for about 6 months before you can remortgage, because the lenders don't like when you change mortgage, you know, as soon as you bought it. So 6 months is the minimum period. It doesn't mean you cannot find a lender before that. You can, but the rates are higher. So you can find a lender easier after 6 months. Then you remortgage on the new value, and then they will give you the money. You can pay off either, you know, the first lender. It could be a bridging, or could be an actual lender if you are on a variable rate rather than a fixed rate, because if you're on a fixed rate for 2 to 5 years, you don't want to remortgage after 6 months. But what you can do instead, if you are on a fixed rate, rather than remortgaging, you can do an additional borrowing, which means you ask your bank to revalue your house and say, hey, I pushed the value up because I've changed the kitchen, I changed the bathroom, changed the flooring, electrics, etc. The property is now valued 150. Could you come and see it? So they will send a surveyor. They will do the evaluation. If they match the 150, you can borrow a bit extra on your same mortgage. Okay, so it means you increase your monthly costs for the mortgage, but you now recover all your money back, and now you can buy property number 2. And that's how you do it. That's how you recycle the cash from one, use it for the second one, recycle the cash for 2, use it for the third one, and so on. That's how professional property investors work. Obviously you need to buy properly, because if you buy over value over the market value, then you cannot do this game, you cannot play this game, okay? Because you're already putting yourself in a negative equity situation where your mortgage is higher than the actual value. I hope this video has been useful. If you want to know more, just comment below. We run a 3-day event called Stepping Bricks University. If you want to know more about this one, just message there and I'll send you the details. My name is Dr. Giuseppe Paladini, founder of Stepping Bricks, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye for now.